I had a question that came up from someone else about if I have an owner's manual, which I do. Okay, here is the first page of the rear suspension, noting the static sag. That's without the rider sitting on it. Next page is mentioning to adjust the spring preload if needed, and my manual pages are falling out. Stop the video if you want to read the page. The riding sag for the rear shock is 35 millimeters. Moving on, we have another page that mentions that the spring preload is 5 millimeters when the shock is unloaded. Next page here is for the front suspension, noting the air pressure. It is 10 psi to 40 psi, but there is no static sag or rider sag mentioned for the fork. That's all it mentions. There is no mention of what the stock damping settings are, just the rider sag and how to adjust it. I'll go over the physical adjustments on the bike next. Back here on the bike, you can see the plate I mounted after changing the handlebar, but I want to point out something I did that's a functional change. You can see the hole down here where I formerly had the handlebar clamps. It used to have 2 bolts on the handlebar clamp. Now I'm using a mount system down there that only uses a single bolt. That moved it back a little bit. So the handlebar physically moved back a little bit. Why is that good? Well, because it allows me to get a screwdriver down here to adjust the suspension settings. Stupid cables are kind of in the way. So that's for the damping adjustment. So this is for the rebound on top. So now I can get a screwdriver in there and change my settings. Anyway, back to the topic of preload. The only way to adjust the preload on the bike is with air pressure. So you take the caps off here, and using the previously shown adjustment page, you can adjust the air pressure in there. The downside is you need an accurate air pump up to about 42 psi roughly to be able to adjust your preload. Once you're done with that, you can put the caps back on. I would prefer a mechanical preload adjustment with a wrench because I don't like looking for a pump. Not a common tool I carry, and definitely not to measure the range of such small air volumes. They'll change rapidly. Anyway, that is the changes that I made on the front. In case you're wondering, the compression damping adjustment is down here on the bottom of the fork. You would have to get in there with a driver to adjust that.